Welcome to episode 19.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Who Did That Voice, where we take an in-depth look at voiceovers.
The holiday season is upon us, and there is no time like the present to book your holiday getaway with 3D Travel Company. Whether you want to set sail on the high seas or visit exotic and foreign locales, maybe your dream is to see a magical mouse, or maybe you long for a getaway that will universally appeal to all. For a limited time, my listeners receive a Disney gift card with qualifying Disney vacation purchases booked and traveled by the end of 2016. For more information on booking any of these trips, go to 3dtravelcompany.com and tell them Trenton sent you.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest has played Toodles the cat on the new Tom and Jerry show.
Back it up, Meatball. That's not how you treat a lady.
If you have little ones, there's a good chance they've seen her in Space Racers as Robin.
Gravity makes big things pull smaller things toward them.
And for all of you Yokai Watch fans, she plays the voice of Jibanyan. Paws of Fury!
When I was alive, my owner Amy took care of me until one day... Suddenly, I was a yokai. Jibanyan! Paws of Fury!
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice? Today on the show we have Alicyn Packard joining us. Alicyn, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, what's up, Trenton? How you doing?
I'm doing good, girl. Thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so jazzed up to be on your show right now.
Well, I'm super jazzed to have you. It's an honor to have you on the show, for the opportunity to get to know you a little bit and for the listeners to hear your story.
Yeah. Once upon a time, in a town called Hanson, Massachusetts, a very long time ago. Not that long. Don't judge me.
So the very first thing we always like to start off with, Alicyn, is just to get a little background on who our guest is and how did you end up also getting into the voiceover industry?
Well, you know what's so interesting is I've broken this down before. I actually got into voiceover in high school.
Wow. Nice.
I did a lot of musical theater and sort of went that route. And then they had a radio club. So we got to read the morning announcements. We didn't actually have a radio station, but one of the big things was reading the morning announcements, and I loved it, you know. And a friend from high school emailed me on Facebook recently and was like, you know, you got started in voiceover because I told you you should do it. You didn't even know it was a job.
That's
I don't
funny.
actually remember that, but it's probably true. I didn't know it was a job. I mean, my sister and I were just like huge cartoon fanatics. I would go to slumber parties and lie and tell people that I couldn't watch any movies that were rated PG-13 so that I would kind of like make everybody watch a cartoon because I really loved cartoons. And I grew up with them, Muppet Babies, Gummy Bears, you know. The Disney afternoon was like my jam in the 90s, 80s, 90s, I don't know. And yeah, so when I got to college, I went to Emerson College in Boston, Massachusetts, and I loved it. And they had, at the time, and I think still now, the #1 student-produced college radio station in the country.
Oh, wow. Most fascinating.
Really good radio station. And I wanted to do radio. But this was a time when radio and opportunities in radio were kind of going down. And new media was coming to fruition. And so I started out as a tried broadcast journalism, audio, and then I moved to digital media. And my time at WERS, I did a lot of promos. I hosted a blues show first, and then I helped co-create a show called Revolutions, which was the first change on the station in 11 years.
Wow. Goodness.
For a weekday programming. They had like a set schedule, and it was electronic music. And so we brought in DJs, and we spun house music. Each night of the week had a different theme, drum and bass, house. And it was so fun. And I got to do, live announcing on the radio and promos like WERS, like that radio imaging stuff. And I was like 19. I thought I was really talented. And I thought, oh, this is so easy. I'll just do voiceover. But this was in Boston. So it's a completely different market, or it was at the time. And at that time, I made a demo. I was taking acting classes at CP Casting, which is one of the big casting agencies there, and studying with Carolyn Pickman. And I made a demo, like we just took commercials off the radio and re-recorded them, and with the stuff at WERS, and I just cut together a demo. It had like Starbucks on it. Like anyone thinks like a 19-year-old would be voicing this like network national Starbucks spot, but it was enough to get me in for an audition, which was for Prentice Hall textbooks. And that was my first job that I booked. And it was awesome. It was awesome. I had to, I would work like 4-hour shifts just reading science textbooks to kids in schools. And it was part of an e-learning curriculum that they had. And after that, I was hooked. That's the early days.
Well, that is most fascinating and interesting to hear, because, a lot of people listen to those e-learning things, especially now as things have gone more digital and online. So that's very fascinating. Thank you for sharing with us, Alicyn.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So now you mentioned growing up with the Muppet Babies and growing up with Gummy Bears. So what is it like working on Space Racers with Katie Lee and all those cast members, Johnny Young Bosch and Phil Lawler and all the others?
Well, what's funny is, so Mr. Men was the first show that I worked with Katie Lee, and it was like mind blown. She was literally in, she was Baby Rolf, she was Sonny Gummy. So she was a huge part of my childhood, and it was amazing. I mean, that show was such a joy to work on. I got to voice 3 of the characters on it: Little Miss Sunshine, Little Miss Naughty, and Little Miss Whoops. Who were like the 3 key elements of my personality, if you will. And it was so cool. Katie also voiced 3. I think it was Miss Chatterbox, Miss Helpful, and then the one that shoots on rockets. I forget her name, Miss Adventure or something. Yeah. But the cast was amazing. And that was the first animated television show I booked a series regular role in. And so it was a big deal for me. But I'd also taken a lot of classes, done a lot of workshops, and really worked hard on the characters for the audition. So they were really like in my pocket. So it felt good. Miss Sunshine and Miss Naughty in particular were just like right in the wheelhouse. And then Miss Whips was like, what? She was sometimes harder to get into character because I'd be like, is that sound like her? Okay, there she is.
Don't worry, Mr. Bump. I'm a trained professional. Whoops.
The show was real cute.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's good that those characters resonated so well with you. I'm sure it made it that much more fascinating to play those characters.
It was fun.
Well, Katie and I, actually, she was my first guest on the show. And,
I know.
I met her 5 years ago at the Live Adventures in Odyssey show, and then went to a workshop where we read Mr. Min scripts, and I played the narrator. And so that was really cool. I have those recordings from back when we did that, and Katie was kind of directing those episodes, and that was really fascinating to get to work with her in a workshop after growing up with her on Adventures in Odyssey and everything. So
yeah, she's extremely generous.
Yes, very much
kind. person. So
Very much. Well, speaking of other animated shows you've worked on, I know you've also been a part of the Tom and Jerry show, the new Tom and Jerry show that's
the
come
new
out.
Tom and Jerry show.
So
Yeah.
what is that like for you? Because I'm sure you grew up watching the older shows from Tom and Jerry. So what is that like to be a part of that show now?
Well, I mean, to be a part of like a legacy show like Tom and Jerry is such an honor. My main character is Toodles, and she's like Tom's love interest. She's kind of a femme fatale. And, it's just like, it's Meg Ryan voiced her, so it's really cool. It's an honor. And some of the people that work on the show, some of them like Joey Dioria and Rick Zeef are friends and people that I've known for a while, but other people like it's just like such a killer cast. Have you seen the show or?
I haven't seen the new Tom and Jerry show yet, no. But I know Phil Lawler was on it, and he was on the show not too long ago, and we were talking about it there. So, well, I know you're on another show that today is extremely popular among younger kids and young teens right now, Yokai Watch, and you play Jibanyan.
Jibanyan! Horse of Fury! Na, 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 na.
See, Trenton, you get the visual. We're for the listeners at home. We're Skyping, but we're also video Skyping. So Trenton is like watching me make all these crazy faces. And
she's literally acting out her role as Jibanyan.
Yeah, the Yokai Watch is a bizarre, funny, just so unique show. It's its own thing. A lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of like Pokemon because there's a lot of different characters, and it's from Japan as well. But it's actually kind of more like Simpsons or Family Guy. It's pop culture parody, but it's filtered through a Japanese point of view because it's a Japanese show. But they spoof a lot of American stuff. So like the episode 1 of season 2, they have like this Steve Jobs character that's like a giant shark in the yokai world. I don't know if you saw it. And it's so funny to see, it's for kids, but it's really like, it's definitely a crossover. It's for people of all ages. And Jibanyan is like the cat that is just so cute. And he lives with Nate, who is sort of the main character, played by Johnny Young Bosch, and Whisper. The three of those guys live together, and they battle with yokai they use yokai to battle other yokai, and it's really funny and really bizarre.
Well, how did that role come about? Was it just through other associations, or did your agent just get a hold of you, or?
So I auditioned for that role through Mark Risley, who is the Emmy Award-winning producer. Director. He's a director, producer, animation director. He won the Emmy for Rugrats, and I worked with him on the Mr. Men show, Space Racers. We've worked together a lot. It's funny, up until that point, I had done a lot of girl roles. I hadn't done as many boys. And when Mark said, I want to read you for Jibanyan, I was like, what? I think Katie, Jibanyan, really? And then I just started playing around with that. And because I always think like, oh, I'm such a girly girl. But truthfully, I'm kind of bossy sometimes and like a little bit, I don't know. The energy was definitely there. And he's kind of like, he reminds me of like, maybe my dad as a kid, kind of like the energy, like, I'm kind of tired right now. Oh, Nate, like, just kind of like, and now, funnily enough, since booking that role and recording season 1, in between season 1 and before season 2 started, I had a baby and I had a boy.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so it's so cool to see like, just like boy energy, like being in boy energy, and it's fun. It's fun to be able to play a boy. It's like, what other job could you do that?
Absolutely. Well, that's so awesome, especially, now with having your son, he'll be able to grow up and watch his mom be all these different characters. So that'll be very cool for him.
I'm really hoping, looking forward to the day when I get like cool mom points for my job. Because before, when a lot of the shows I worked on are preschool and kid shows. So this show has a big crossover and a lot of awesome, amazing community of fans on Twitter, which is a lot of fun. But prior to that, it's not like your preschooler would be on Twitter being like, "I love Poppycat," "I love your role as Alma." Like you just there's a feedback loop, And for voiceover, you don't always get all the way around. So theater, right? You give your art, you give your performance. Somebody sees it, it affects them. They love it, they hate it, whatever. It
Yeah.
affects them, and then you get the reaction. So I think that's why a lot of us are drawn to theater because we can affect change in the world and affect change in people's emotions. And for me, comedy and music and voiceover, it's about uplifting and bringing joy to people. But with voiceover, you put it out there, you record in a studio, not with any audience. They make the show and then the show airs, but you're not in anybody's living room when they're watching it. You don't get to see if they're laughing or they love the character unless you go to conventions, which a lot of voiceover actors do. I haven't done as much of, just a few here and there, Comic-Con and stuff. But, you don't really know until you see people with kids and they're like, "What? You're on Space Racers? My son loves that show." So it's amazing to think we're doing a show that touches and inspires kids,
Definitely.
because in a lot of ways, we're all kids at heart.
Well, I've always been a kid at heart, that's for sure. So I totally understand where you're coming from and where those people that get to see you probably come from as well. So that's very awesome. Very fascinating. Well, kind of going back to Space Racers, I know we had talked about that briefly, but tell us a little bit more about your character Robin on that show.
Robin is so cool. There's three main characters that are the Space Racers, and Eagle, Hawk, and Robin. And that's Yuri Lowenthal, Meyer DeLue, and myself. And there's other Space Racers too. Johnny is also in that show. He plays Raven, who's kind of like, Raven's a bit of a, kind of, he can be a little bit of a jerk, but but they go on missions and they're training, they're cadets at Stardust Bay Academy, and they're training to be space racers.
Awesome.
So they basically go on all these adventures in outer space, which is like, what? How could that be more fun? And we're partnered with NASA. So all of the science in the show is based on science fact, not science fiction.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And it's on, season 1 is on Netflix. Season 2 is coming to NBC Sprout in the fall. And season 1 also aired on PBS. And I really love Robin because she's a strong-willed, independent, smart girl. And I think she's a great role model for anybody, really, just to show that, like, while Eagle's a little bit more concerned about being fast and Hawk has a really terrific memory, Robin is the one that does the heavy lifting to study, to get it right. And she's very well-rounded in terms of her knowledge. And it's so fun to play her. She's just, sometimes she gets a little sassy, but she's about 12 years old, and I like her a lot.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about Robin and about Space Racers. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who will associate and know the show, and hopefully there will be others that will find the show now because of listening to the podcast and hearing your story. So
check it out.
So as far as animation goes, we've covered a lot of different topics and a lot of different shows that you've been on. I know you've also been a part of a game that's extremely popular in the gaming world, World of Warcraft. And I believe you play the female blood elf, if I recall.
That's right. I got cast as the female blood elf originally for the expansion series. And she's a little bit sassy. She's like, Oh, I went to the troll spa the other day, and the girl trying to give me a facial had no lower jaw. Oh, can you believe it? Rawr, rawr. I can't believe these people.
Oh, that's most excellent. Thank you for doing that, for sharing that.
Yeah, it was fun. They've got a lot going on. Blizzard, yeah, a very large company, and a lot of games coming out.
Oh,
And
heck yeah. I play their
yeah,
card game. They have a game that I'm totally blanking out on right now that I play absolutely
a
like
card
every day.
game. It sounds like there's no voiceover in a card game.
It's actually, they do have voices for all the
Do they?
characters. It's
Oh,
called
cool.
it's called Hearthstone, and the different
Hearthstone.
characters actually talk and say a few phrases. You can actually like hit different buttons and the characters talk. So yeah, you never know. Maybe your character will be brought to that. They've brought it's kind of got a WoW, World of Warcraft kind of feel to it.
Right on.
So anyway, but yeah, working on World of Warcraft, that has to be super fascinating. I know it's a long running game. A lot of people play it. And for you to play another part in that legacy series, that has to be fascinating for sure.
I feel very lucky. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was my first show that grown-ups were playing. Like, that was the first thing that, like, adults were like, yeah, hey, cool.
Who 20 years ago weren't adults when they started playing it. Because that game's been running so long. So
Yeah, I think we recorded in '07 for that character.
that's awesome. Well, are there any other current or up and coming projects that you are able to share with us today? I know sometimes non-disclosure agreements don't allow that, but if you have anything to share, we'd love to hear.
Well, we are currently recording Yokai Watch Season 2,
Fantastic.
and that's a lot of fun. Not only do I play Jibanyan, I also play Komajiro, Nate's mom, two with the dancing trio, Riv and Wiglin. And, I mean, we get to work out more on that show than any show I've ever worked on before. So there's that, and we're working on Tom and Jerry Season 3.
Awesome.
I also did a show, which I think you will appreciate, called She Made Me Do It. It's a docudrama on Oxygen about women that convince people to murder for that.
Wow.
So don't get any ideas, listeners, but it's really fun to tap into that type of read. And Kelly Ripa always keeps talking about how Snapped is like her favorite show, and I'm pretty sure she means the She Made Me Do It one, because she talks about women that get men to kill for them. It's not always men, but it's almost always men.
Almost always. Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely
so
have to
we
check
did
it out.
two seasons of that. Hopefully there'll be more to come as well. And yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I write and produce comedy. I did stand up for a number of years, and then I was writing and producing sketches. I play music as well as a hobby. So I have some songs up there, mostly originals, maybe one or two covers, and some comedy music as well. So you can check that out. It's Alicyn Packard Comedy. So just search for that on YouTube and you'll find it.
Most excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Alicyn.
You're welcome.
Do you happen to have a website or a way in which people can reach you should they want to reach out to you or inquire about your VO services or?
Yes, I do. Let's see. It's AlicynPackard.com. But if you're just listening to this, let me spell it for you because it can be confusing. It's
Alicyn Packard.
You know how to spell Packard, Packard. But the Alicyn part's a little confusing. My mom, she liked to switch it up.
She wanted it to be unique.
She wanted it to be unique. Also, she named me after a movie she saw on TV where the woman's apartment was the gateway to hell, and her name was Alicyn Parker. But
wow,
she didn't tell me that for a long time.
Oh, kind of one of those, let's wait till you grow up things to explain it.
Yes, exactly.
Hello, 4-year-old
You don't tell your
Alicyn.
3-year-old child, you're named after a woman who became the sentinel to the gateway to hell.
What?
What did you say? I'm going to hell.
Oh wow. Okay, that was most. Thank you. That was good. Good laughter right there. I find you extremely funny. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Larkin.
I'll be here all week teaching.
Thank you.
So, what is your favorite cartoon character growing up and why?
Oh, I liked Fozzie the Bear a lot. Oh, I loved. There was, I mean, gosh, to narrow it down, I really liked DuckTales.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming back. I don't know any details. I'm not on it, but that would have been a dream come true. See, not everybody's dreams come true all the time. But you know, Huey, Dewey, and Louie in there. Everybody, Scrooge McDuck. Like that show was like what? That show was so good.
Yeah.
Gee, my favorite cartoon character. Was there anybody I was like obsessed with? I did not like Miss Piggy. Real problem with Miss Piggy, but I loved Kermit the Frog and Baby Kermit. Geez, that's a really good question. I mean, I don't know if I just had like just one favorite.
Kind of like a plethora.
Yeah, like all the Care Bears. I mean, that's not just one, but like all of them.
And not all of them were bears, but they were still good.
And the Care Bear cousins too.
Yeah. I love the lion.
Oh, Braveheart?
Braveheart.
Wait, Braveheart, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like one of my favorites from that series. So
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
So I have one final question for you, Alicyn.
Okay.
The question is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
I mean, the short answer is I want to inspire other people to live a life of joy, freedom, and play. Yeah, I want everybody to know that even though we grow older, we don't necessarily have to grow up. You know, I mean, that's the great thing about being a voice actor is you basically, it's your job to have fun and act like a kid. But it doesn't matter what your job is. Like, go out and do a somersault, like jump for joy, create something that's very meaningful to you. I'm actually I just finished rereading the book, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And he talks about resistance. So we all have resistance to do the things that are the most important to our soul that we do. You know, whether for me, you know, I also do some writing. I wrote an episode of Poppy Cat, which was one of the shows I did voices for. We didn't talk too much about it, but, and, you know, some of my sketches and stuff like that. Sometimes I experience a lot of resistance in sitting down and actually doing the work. Also, like going to the gym, you know, like for me, sometimes I just have resistance around that. And sometimes, you know, for people, like creativity comes up and we make excuses, which is totally natural and totally normal to not do those things. But instead of sitting there and judging yourself for not doing them, you can take it and see it as an opportunity to just play, you know, and not even for any reason other than because it makes you feel good. It's one thing for us to be consumers of media, and there's so much good content now. It's insane how much good television there is. And, you know, I mean, I read a lot of books and stuff, but what are we creating too? You know, even if it's just something that nobody will ever see, just make something and put it out there, because at the end of the day, it's how we feel about it. And life is fun if you want it to be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alicyn, for sharing your words of encouragement and just all the fun shows that you've been a part of. It's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Oh, yes. And so I did have one more.
Sure.
Somebody asked on Twitter what the most fart part. So they want to know the most fart part. They want to know the most fun part of voice acting career and who inspired you to do so. We already did Daniel Coffey. We did talk a lot about that. The most fun part is creating the characters and actually figuring out what they would want to sound like and going through the process of like, yeah, well, it's more like here, it's more like here. Maybe I'll give them a Southern accent and, you know, just playing around with it and being completely free from any kind of limitations and then like reeling it in to kind of create the character. I would say for me, that's the most fun part. And the recording sessions are very fun because I love bagels and they have free bagels.
Who doesn't love bagels?
Seriously. So, thank you, Trenton.
Yes. Thank you, Alicyn, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And good luck with your podcast.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hope to connect with you guys online. I'm on Twitter at Alicyn, Alicyn, or my Facebook fan page is Alicyn Packard Comedy.
Well, Alicyn, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on the show today. Would you please just give us a closeout as Jibanyan from Yokai Watch?
I'd be happy to, Trenton.
My name's Jibanyan, and you should watch Yokai Watch and listen to this podcast. Podcast of Fury!
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Alicyn Packard. And if you did, please stop on by my Contact Me page at www.whodidthatvoice.co. I'd love to hear from you. This week's giveaway is sponsored by Ultimate Collectibles and Apparel. They are located at 4810 East 11th Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74112. The guys that work there are Toby Mask and Daryl Herman, and they were gracious enough to donate another item for our giveaway this week. Thanks so much, guys. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next Tuesday, November 8th, for our next midweek special with special guest Cliff Zellman. Cliff is an Emmy Award-winning professional audio engineer with 35-plus years experience. He is also a voice actor, copywriter, creative director, voiceover coach, and more. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, are you ready to win some awesome prizes? All you have to do is like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter for your chance to be instantly and automatically entered for your chance to win.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.